Hi guys, it's Mary McIntyre. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a busy week. I'm ready to sit down and just chill with a bit of a craft activity. So I'm gonna give this kit a go. If you watched a couple of videos ago, you'll remember that the kit that I bought that I thought would be a nice bit of cozy autumn decor making turned into a full-scale nightmare and many glue burns. This time I am trying the actual sewing kit, no hot glue involved at all in this one. The instructions have been translated using Google Translate, I suspect, so instead of pumpkin stalk we've got a pumpkin stalk, but I know what they mean. Their English is better than my probably Chinese. All the pieces are pre-cut and you've got this kind of embroidery thread on the floor. Embroidery thread that's in those little groups of 6, and you have to split them and use 3 threads of each colour to sew all the segments of the pumpkins together. You do get a proper needle to do this with, which I'm very glad about. They also provide this. I'm sorry, I know that's a safety needle, but how is that needle possibly going to go through fabric like that on pumpkins that are clearly not that big? These are really small segments. So yeah, I've got no idea, but I'm looking forward to trying this one. Hand sewing's not my very favourite thing to do, but I've been looking in every shop I've gone in and I've really got a bit of a thing for these little plushy pumpkins, so I'm very excited to give it a go, and hopefully I'll have some fun pumpkins at the end of it. It's not the best quality fabric, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, it's out for about 3 weeks of the year, then it goes back in the loft, so I'm not gonna be precious about that at all. You even get the stuffing, which is really good as well. I actually bought a huge bag of that when I was on holiday last week, so I'm good for stuffing. But yeah, they're all kind of just bunched up like this, which I don't love, so I'm going to sort out my pieces, sort out my threads, pick those up off the floor. The stalks are interesting. I've got no idea how to do that. I think, do you sew 2 together? I'll have to look at the stalk part of the instructions. But yeah, we've got an orange, we've got a red, and we've got a cream. So yeah, nice colours. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. In theory, this is going to be less hassle by a significant margin than playing around with hot glue. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Let's get started. Right, that took about 1,000 years to cut these off the fabric pieces. The dye that had gone through, probably by design, had still got like a thread attached in about 8 places on each of these, so I had to go around and trim them. One slight thing that's annoying is that this kind of fabric has a nap to it. So it has an upside down and a right way up. So whenever I'm sewing with this sort of material, I check to make sure that I've got them pointing the right way. With this one, some of the pieces have been cut through 90 degrees, so the nap doesn't quite match. But I think with something that's curved and all the different bumps on it, the whole kind of curvy aesthetic of a pumpkin means that tonal differences will work. So it's not like making a piece of clothing where there's like a super obvious mistake with the nap. I know that because I've done it myself. I've done it and made a mess of something because I didn't check the nap, but it's impossible to get the nap to line up on some of these because of the way that they've been cut. Okay, so you start off by putting 2 pieces right sides together, and they give you plenty of thread, I'll give them that. I've had to cut the piece of red thread down into thirds because it was so long that it would have completely frayed by the time I got to the top. So you're supposed to start at the bottom and just do a running stitch and then leave a gap at the top so that you can put the stuffing in. So I suck at hand sewing. I'm going to try to keep these as even as possible. So I'm trying to keep my stitches even. They will not be even because I just am incapable of sewing evenly by hand. Unlike my mum, who is an absolute genius at hand sewing. Like, it's just incredible looking when she does the blanket stitch around the edges of a applique on her patchwork quilts. It's so uniform and neat, it looks like it's been done on a machine, and she can do it so fast that she would almost rival doing it on a machine as well. I have not inherited that, I'm afraid. I should have enough thread. I'm pretty sure I do, so I am going to go back. So I'll go up and then back down and just fill in those gaps instead of doing back stitch. So the advantage of going up and then back down is that I think I can start the next piece, that piece there, and start running along here. Don't see why not. That way I don't have to cut my thread and tie it off each time. So yeah, I'm going to do that. Right, that's 3. So I'm just going to keep going like that with the other 3 pieces, and I will come back to you when I'm ready to stuff this one and see if I can figure out how the heck I'm going to finish it off once I've stuffed it. Right, I've done back stitch on this last one when I'm joining the sides together, because then my thread will be at the top for me to close when I've put the stuffing in. Yeah, my stitches have been progressively looking more like I've done them with my feet rather than my hands, but just so small from those little pieces. I'm going to handle this gently because my stitching is not strong enough to be able to take a lot of strain. Oh, he's so tiny. Oh look, he's gonna be adorable. Am I the only one that has this like literal visceral reaction to autumn and Halloween decor items? When I was on holiday in Dorset last week, I went into lots of little independent shops, and nearly all of them were selling just adorable little pieces of fall decor. Some of it was Halloween, a lot of it was just general autumn fall themed, and every single shop just gave me this surge of serotonin when I saw it sitting there. I bought lots of just random little bits of things, and I just love this whole aesthetic. I'm really here for it this year. Okay, if this is a mess, we'll turn it upside down and put the stalk on the other end. It sounds like a plan. Okay, yeah, it doesn't bear to look too closely at this. It's kind of therapeutic to sit and do. Slight mess up has added some pleats at the top that make it look a little better than that side does. I thread that off, and I'm gonna just get a little bit more and tie off the bum part. Okay, and poke that through and back out the other side. Pull it a little bit, and then you snip the end off. The tail will disappear inside the pumpkin. So need to manipulate that stuffing a little bit because it feels a bit uneven. So it felt like I put loads in, but I don't think there's actually enough stuffing in that. Okay, so this is the middle size pumpkin, so I somehow need to stitch and stuff this little stalk. That's going to be one hell of a challenge. What does it say to do for the stalk? How do you take 3 strands, sew them together, leaving a gap at the side? Yeah, it says turn inside out. I am never in a million years going to get a stiff bit of felt like that to turn inside out. I don't know how. I am just going to stitch around the outside in a kind of different pattern than that. I don't see how I can possibly turn that inside out. I've just done like a little sort of running stitch around, well, outside stitch around that stalk. If I turn that inside out, there'll be no room left to even stuff it. As it is, I'm going to struggle to get any stuffing in that. And this is the medium size one. Like that small one is going to be insanely fiddly. What the heck? I'm going to struggle. I am going to struggle getting any stuffing into that. I'm going to have to stitch a bit more around it and then try and poke it in from the bottom, because going in from the side I can't get it to compact tightly enough to be able to sew it. Okay, so if I tie that off, I don't mind seeing the stitching there. Maybe that's what this plastic needle's for. Maybe they were in fact thinking ahead. I'll crack it open. These are the kind of plastic needles you get with children's cross stitch kits, so it's going to be very hard to sew with, but could be a good poking tool. I can barely get the needle in there. That is one tiny stalk. I'm going to have great fun with the other one. Can I kind of wind this around, because it's so kind of loose, the stuffing. I feel like I need some like a bit of a inside of a cushion or something, where it's still, you know, when it's more like a sheet of stuffing rather than this really loose fibery stuff, because I can't get it to go in. Keep stabbing, pretend I'm needle felting, get that bad boy in there. Come on, you know you want to go in. There we go. Did not think that was going to go in there, I'll be honest. That's a nice stiff stalk now. How the heck do we stitch that on here? Out a little bit and working my way around the bottom of the stalk, the base of the stalk. Lacking in stuffing, as I said, but I now have one little pumpkin. I'll take a break there. Now we'll come back and do the big one next, I think. Right, I am back. I've had dinner. I feel refreshed and my tummy is full. The first one, I left a couple of the flaps open, and I think I'm going to do fewer of the gaps this time, because I found it actually very difficult to stuff and then stitch back up again. So yeah, what I was doing last time is doing one row of stitches and then turning the work and coming back up the other side, doing the reverse of the stitches. I personally prefer to do that than backstitch. Trying to keep my stitches fairly even and not too long, but I started to get impatient and the stitches were getting bigger the further along I went. Enjoying that one. So it's the same all the way round, and I'm going to carry on and close all of them until I get to the very last one, and then I'm going to leave just one flap down because that will be easier to finish. Trying to sew those pieces together was actually quite difficult once the stuffing was in, and I had 4 of them to do. So if I've got one segment that's got a gap, I think it's going to make it easier. So I will continue with this. You don't need to see me do this in real time. Continue with these and I'll come back when I'm about to pop the stuffing in this big cream coloured guy. Right, I have done all of that but just left that one flap there. So I'm going to put a little knot in this here just so that it doesn't unravel when I start stuffing the heck out of this one, because I'm definitely going to put more stuffing in this one. It will be pleading for help. I have already stuffed and sewn and stuffed the stalks for the second 2 pumpkins. I'll tell you what, putting stuff inside these is not for the faint heart. Look how small that is. Getting stuffing in there was a nightmare, but I got it to work. With brute force and using the crappy orange plastic needle came in handy. So one thing that I'm going to do is just run my finger along the seams, just so that I didn't do that with the other one, just to make them lie a bit flatter for each segment. When I was at the bottom sewing this last one on, I've done a chain stitch inside to pinch that end. I don't know if it's going to be the top or the bottom, but I've basically already tightened that up so there are no gaps. When you do these kits, usually it takes a couple before you kind of know where you're at and how best to approach it. So I'm going to get some stuffing in this bad boy. This is getting way more. Stuffing is so slippy and it really doesn't like going inside things. It's the strangest texture to handle. It's obviously some horrendous synthetic thing, but it's so slippy. It's really hard to get it to behave. And you can bunch it up and try and push it in, and all that happens is your fingers go through it and it doesn't go where you want it to. So it's actually quite a lot of work to get this in. So weird. I thought I'd left a tiny flap, but once you get the stuffing in and this stuff stretches out, I've ended up leaving a humongous flap to stitch up again. So I'll keep that in mind for pumpkin number 3. By the time you get to the 3rd of these things, you've kind of got it down, but then you don't have any more to make. Okay, I think, will I leave it at that? Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to strain the seams too much. Okay, I'm just going to do small stitches and just attach them because I can't see how on this fabric with this thread I'm going to make this invisible. So I'm just going to stitch it. It can be the bottom. The other side looks good. This can be the bottom. Okay, job's a good one. Let's thread that off. Through. Right, that's definitely going to be the top. Right, this is the largest stalk, and I've got left the tail on here so I can just stitch that on. I really like that one. It's lumpy, it's uneven, but I actually really like it. Right, 2 knots to tie that off. And then there were 2. Just get the threads out through there. Cool. Right, so that's 2 pumpkins. So here they are finished. I love them. I absolutely love them. Look at this little guy. Oh, it's so tiny. And what I love is one of the things I bought on holiday, which again brought me a massive hit of serotonin, with these little velour acorns, and they really look good with the pumpkins. Got my gorgeous little acorns. When I saw these in the shop, I was like, yep, they're coming home with me. They were like 25p or something. They're just adorable. So I got those, and the other thing I bought on holiday that looks good with this aesthetic is this adorable little dude, dudette. A little sunflower witch's hat and little feet. She is gorgeous. Like, there's no way I was walking past that. So they're all very kind of autumn themed. I've got the pine cones from my previous video in there. I love them so much. I just wanted to show you a couple of the other things I got as well, which are more kind of leaning Halloween rather than autumn. So one of them is this gorgeous hanging heart. Really love the pumpkins on that. I got a little hanging bell jack-o'-lantern, which is adorable. This one got me. I had to. A black cat in a ghost costume carrying a pumpkin. If either Slinky or Coco, my black cats, were still with us, I could fully imagine this being them. I saw this in the shop. It was not particularly cheap, but there was no way I was coming home without that. Like, oh, if ever there was a piece of Mary in a needle felted project, that is it. Like a black cat, ghost costume, pumpkin. You make me anything in that aesthetic, it's coming home with me. Like, there's just no way I could have not got that. I'd have got those pumpkins made. I knew they were going to go well with all of this stuff that I've made that's kind of Halloween themed, not Halloween themed, autumn themed. And there are a few other autumn things I wanted to do, but I need to move on to Halloween videos now. I've got a couple of fairly big projects planned, and I'll throw in some smaller projects as well. I've got lots of silicone moulds to play with. Quickly jumping in here, when I was reviewing my video, I realised that I'd missed one of the steps out from the instructions. If you look at the box picture, you can see that they've got very defined segments, and that's created by pulling cotton around and tightening it, pulling the thread around to create those segments. I tried it off camera, and I thought that my pumpkins looked far worse for doing that, so I took them off and left it as it is. So I love them as they are. I'm really happy with them. If I did it again, I would leave a smaller hole, put significantly more stuffing in, and then try again to create the segments using the thread. I hope you enjoyed the video. This kit definitely better than the other one that I got, the full collection kit that was the pumpkins. Stalks were a pain in the backside, rest of it absolutely awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.